Welcome to Blast of the Stash It, Huey's Shanty Edition. You can see behind me, like Joe had pointed out, I got a blanket covering my window. I got nothing on my walls. I think I got
squatting.
I got my Wonder Woman statue back there. Everybody knows I'm getting ready to move, so I'm boxing everything up. But episode 151, so these are the comics from June 26, 2019. So this is our weekly comic review show where the opinions that matter, only opinions that matter, are ours. So first time catching the show, every Wednesday we spend our hard-earned money to buy some comic books to review on this show. If it's a stash, that means we love it. If it's a blast, it's a garbage pile, and we're getting rid of it. Today we have Joe with me. Paul said he might be able to make it on, but he wasn't sure. And this is a final reminder, this is a spoiler review show, so if you don't want your book spoiled, I guess you don't want to watch it. I don't know. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll start with Joe and your first book. Once you get done taking your sip of coffee, though, don't...
Awkward sips of coffee happening Sunday morning. First off, thank you everybody in the chat. I know this is pre-recorded, but I know some of you faithful fans out there are in the chat. So let's talk about our very first book, and that is Action Comics number 1012, right? 1012. Digging this. As long as you read this the right way, it's awesome. We get introduced to a character by the name of Rose/Thorn. Get the play on the words there. Apparently it's a split personality type superhero where Rose is all fragile and nice and just a great person, and Thorn is this wild crazy woman that wants to drop bodies and beat up mafia people. Don't really know much about her. I don't know if she's in continuity anywhere else in DC universe. I didn't look her up. She is? Okay.
Yeah,
so
she's in Lois Lane, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane quite a bit. She came out in the 60s.
Okay, cool. So we have somebody, they did another bringing up a past character. Totally cool. We got an invisible mafia that likes to hang out in a pressurized tank and has a list of words that they can and can't say. I get it because Superman has super hearing. They're following Superman Jolt all over the world. That's fine. And apparently Oprah Winfrey is running this gang because the female crime queen pin, whatever you want to call her, looks like Oprah Winfrey in the book. It's absolutely hilarious. And her protege, if you will, is the Red Cloud, who we also know. This is good as long as you don't take it as a superhero story. This whole Leviathan thing and all the tie-ins into it, I'm not really catching them as superhero stories. They're spy stories is really what they are. And that's how I've kind of set my mind to read these things. For one, because Superman is not the main character in it, right? All these stuff that's going on around him is. Even then, it can get a little dry. So for right now, just because it's Leviathan and I've been liking it and it's a cool tie-in with it, it's a stash for me. But I don't know. Something interesting's got to start happening. At least a little bit of superhero stuff has got to start happening.
Yeah, I like that cover. I almost picked it up just for that. I haven't been picking up Action Comics for... Oh my god! I think I picked it up when Bendis started on like an issue about 1,000 or something like that. On that, I kind of quit picking up after that. Let's talk about my first book, and it's a big book. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen here. Let's go there we go. That's where I am. I'm there. That is Batman Damned number 3, the final issue of the DC Black. It started all with the Batwing and ended with a I should have come up with something more funny to say there, but it ended with the whimper. It wasn't that great. With the DC Black stuff and where it's going, The Last Night on Earth wasn't too bad. That's a DC Black title. But the Superman was kind of like, hey, this has been... I'm just hoping that DC Black is going to end up pulling itself out because, with DC doing that recent restructure where they're doing the DC Black with all like adult titles, I sure hope they have better titles than this. So at the end of the last book, Harley Quinn ends up stabbing Batman, and he wakes up in a coffin in this one. And he gets saved by a Swamp Thing. He puts the roots down, breaks the coffin up, gets Batman out, and then he meets John Constantine again. The whole story itself is about essentially Batman moving on. Batman's parents getting killed in the alley. So as the story progresses, like they need to kind of kill young Bruce Wayne in order for Batman to move on. I don't know. I the art's hit or miss. The one lady in here, the villain that's trying to convince like Bruce to not give on, not, it's kind of creepy looking. Some of the art's okay. My favorite part of the whole thing is at the end of the last, just like I said, Harley Quinn stabbed Batman and he went unconscious. John Constantine stole the Bat Belt and he's wearing it to hold his cigarettes. That was like the funniest thing in the whole book. He's sitting on top of the tombstone. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got your Bat Belt. Want to smoke?" And he pulls it out, a little utility belt. That was the best part of the whole damn book.
That sounds awesome.
Other than that, oh god, what's his name? Brand. Boston Brand Boston, whatever. He's in this book. He kind of has a quick little cameo. Zatanna has her fishnets, which yay for the fishnets for Zatanna. She should always be wearing fishnets. But other than that, I mean, that book was a total blast. I did pick up both covers. I picked up the Jim Lee cover, and that's the Joker regular cover there. So unfortunately, started out okay, ended horribly, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I wish Paul was going to be on, because he would be able to say what I cannot say. But,
That's Marvel.
or yeah, DC on this case.
Oh yeah, DC. Yeah.
But that's it. You're up with your next show.
Let's talk about. Oh, where's my notes for this one? Oh yeah, Fantastic Four. I went with the Carnage covers that they've been producing out there. I think it was this and Amazing Spider-Man were the only two. First off, just for aesthetics, take a look at this cover and tell me, what is that face that the little girl's making right there? That is some creepy stuff right there. And then the boy's not making that much better of a. What is he crying? Is he laughing? Is he getting a shot? I don't know. It's creepy, but the story is all right. I thought it was funny that they brought Gargantuan into this storyline. Gargantuan first appeared in comics in the Defenders number 126 in 1983. I thought that was cool. I love how they picked the most randomness villains and Fantastic Four stories to kind of be the main antagonist in it. And obviously they end up beating her by talking to her. I don't know how I feel about that. Not a lot of action in this one. This was more of just a funny, whimsical book to read, to show that the kids are still bound by Earth's rules. They had a department of DMV that deals with extraordinary vehicles and the kids riding them. And of course, the world's smartest girl, she fails because that's a good trope to follow. And the kind of loosey-goosey boy's action adventure ends up passing because he does like one thing that's right. I don't think the story is particularly important in any way. We're following the son's kind of anxieties of being not a member of the team once all of his powers have been drained from him. So he got a win in this one. I think that was the main takeaway from this, that he got his, space driver's license, whatever they're calling it. Great. But other than that, the story was kind of just lackluster to some degree. There was a little hint towards, if you don't know, June is Pride Month for the LGBTQ, and they had a little thing in there, hey, we're having Pride Month, can you keep this crystal on that would make people change colors and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. That's their thing. All right, I dig it. Everybody should have a parade in their own name. But yeah, it was a good story. I liked it. It was all right. Nothing really deep, nothing really heavy. Just a reminder that a kid's about to lose his powers and where's his place in his family, right? So that's really it.
Yeah, I didn't read a whole lot into this book. I got to that nice virtue signaling there on that. I went, oh, really? You're going to go there? Okay.
I don't know if it's virtue signaling or just, a lot of people don't know that June is LGBTQ Pride Month. And I get it. People want to celebrate themselves. I have this weird fantasy, real quick, off topic.
We're going to have pictures of Joe in a parade.
Maybe. So my wife and Spectacular Spider Grandpa's wife are always wanting to take a trip down to New Orleans. So they're constantly talking to us. And I said, I'll go for one reason. In New Orleans, you can actually go down to City Hall and get a special permit to have your own parade, and they have a little sectioned off area where you can have your personal parade. You can hire a band to follow you around and play music while you walk. So, and I've always wanted to have my own parade because I'm egotistical and I'm okay with that.
So yeah, I really didn't read a whole lot into Fantastic Four. I was like, it's been kind of waning for me a little bit anyhow. So I don't know. Because last issue was a tie-in to the War of the Realms. This is that. I got that Carnage variant too. I mean, I don't know. Do they have any kind of connection to Carnage?
Well, at the end, they had the quick little preview there. And they also had it in the back of anything that has the Carnage cover to it. There's a little preview in the back for the Carnage thing coming up. Maybe not preview, or I'm not really sure what they're trying to do. And that one, it was weird.
Okay, well, I will move on to. Let me think. I think this is my pick of the week, and this is Goon number 3. Apparently, I did not put this on any of my order forms to get ordered. I had to go seek this damn thing out because I realized it came out. I'm like, crap, I gotta go find it. So, able to find one cover. So the whole story is about a mummy. This guy, he doesn't believe in the mummy's curse. He's an archaeologist or explorer. He ends up resurrecting the mummy, and the mummy basically does not let the guy have anything he likes at all. Any kind of enjoyment, this mummy just totally destroys. So he's thinking about, what's he thinking about? And he starts, he says he really wants fish and chips. And that mummy, no fish, no chips, and runs through and destroys all the fish and chips place within the proximity. I mean, he has to say this stuff is terrible in order for him to actually kind of have any enjoyment in it at all. And so the mafia or the mob find out that he has this power he can kind of control this mummy, and so they're saying, "Hey, give us names of people you don't like, and or you find enjoyment in, and this mummy's gonna go destroy him." Well, he's really reluctant about it. He doesn't want to do it, and finally get to a point where one last time he says the Goon, and so the mummy's going to attack the Goon, and the mummy's taking beating the crap out of him for a good while. There are some great lines I love in this. The guy tries to give Goon a heads up, and the Goon's like, well, yeah, whatever, dude. I've heard this numerous times. I'm not going to be concerned about it. And later on, after the mummy kind of first appears, him and Goon and his buddy says, next time a fancy lad pops up out of blue, tell me my life is in danger. Remind me to pay more attention. For instance, you never listen to the omens of impeccably dressed, and that's why I love you, buddy. Like those little lines right there. That's what saves this book for me, and it makes me absolutely love it. And so, and the art, I love Eric Powell's art. It's just he's got an art style all his own, and it's great. And we do get the reveal of I think you said in your video, it's not a new character, but a character coming back.
Yeah, he's returning. We've seen him before.
Yeah. We find out, too, of course, the mummy doesn't like cats, and so the guy realizes that he keeps a cat in his little studio in order to keep the mummy at bay, because he can't be rid of the mummy. Great stuff. This is my pick of the week.
Yeah, this is just great fun in a universe where you get to play with all kinds of concepts, and I love the art in this. I mean, sometimes it's very cartoony, but then you get great splashes like that right there. That's just great work. Somebody takes their time. I love this, and of course at the end, and I shouldn't have to say spoiler alert because it is a review show. We get one of our favorite Goon villains returning, and that's going to be just sick and awesome. I've always liked Goon. Goon's an easy read. It's great when you're reading a pile of stuff that tends to seem to be the same thing over and over again, and then you pick up a Goon out of the pile and you read it and you just know you're just taken someplace else. It's just a little bit more whimsical and fun. So yeah, definitely a hard stash for me too. Great stuff.
Yeah, Eric Powell, with his art, I mean, he can draw a gore and macabre and all that stuff great. And then he can draw a woman that's very feminine, very sexy, and totally opposite end of that spectrum in that same book. And I think that's what what I really like about his art is he's at such a wide range on that. It can go either way. Okay, I picked Goon. I'll let you pick the next book. What you want to talk about?
Let's talk about my pick of the week. And man, am I losing my mind over this comic book. It's issue 3. It wraps up the War of the Realms tie-in, and that's Punisher, War of the Realms. How more sadistic could he be? So just to catch everybody up, because this is a great story. It takes the traditional hero's arc and at the end flips it on its head, because we have to remember that Punisher is an anti-hero. So Punisher's got to get a hospital, doctor, patients through a bridge. He frees a bunch of prisoners. Prisoners try to double cross him in it. He drops a couple of them bodies. Everybody catches a hint. Squibbish happens. Gun falls. One of the prisoners picks it up. We get left off on that issue and we roll into this issue. So you're pretty much caught up. Guy's pointing the gun at Punisher, and he's like, look, man, I don't want any trouble. I just want to get through this alive. Swear to me on your family's soul, on your children's soul, that you won't kill me just to get you through this. Punisher says yes. They get through it. They get the fighting and everything. They're dropping the monsters, and they fight and they fight and they fight. And right there at the end, the prisoner looks over at Punisher because he thinks they've made some kind of bond together. They're a team now, and says, what do we do next? And Punisher grabs him, sticks the gun to his back, and blows his heart out right then and there. Doctor freaks out, loses his mind. And then we find out just how nihilistic Punisher has become over these last few issues. It is just the worst case scenario. It's the perfect storm of nihilism, the belief that all this is a farce, or in his case, it's all a war. We can take that. And then this constant belief that nothing matters but the war. Like, this is my direction. This is what I'm focused on. And it's truly, I would say it's the most unique Punisher to date. Because he just, there is nothing there. It's empty. And even in the War of the Realms, in the regular book, we still saw it there too. Where we'll talk more about that, but Wolverine invites him for a beer, and he's like, nope, the war's not over. And then we got the new comic book coming out. I think it's what's the
Punisher Kill Crew.
Yeah, Punisher Kill Crew. That's coming out. I think we're going to get some more of that savageness of him. Plus Savage Punisher. I don't know. We just have a different Punisher now, and I'm really enjoying him. His main title, I don't really read that a whole lot. I don't know if he's as vicious in that as he's been in these. But this is a very different type of Punisher, and I'm really kind of enjoying it. But I think what's going to happen is, because it ultimately happens in a Marvel book, is we're going to have the existential mental breakdown of Punisher happen, because you can only live like that so long. But if they do it right, I think it would be done. But yeah, this is definitely my stash of the week. Get yourself some of this if you're not reading it. It's just, get all 3. It is awesome reading. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say that he's that way to some degree in the main Punisher title too. In the last issue, where he was trapped on an island, some of the former prisoners in the prison help him kill the bad guys, whatever their names are, and after they're standing around the beach, and the prisoners are going like, "Oh wow, cool, we did," and Punisher kills them. Because those are bad guys. Regardless if they helped him out or not, they're still bad guys, and he just punished them. So I think he's that way to some degree, a little bit in the main title too. Okay, let's talk about the hype book of the week, at least from what I'm reading on it, and that is from IDW. That's Canto #1.
Yeah, what is the big deal with this book? I didn't pick it up, but everybody's screaming that this book is a great spec book. What's going on there?
Well, a lot of the cover A's got damaged from what I'm hearing. Both my local stores got issues damaged. One didn't even get one. One got them all damaged. I didn't even notice that they had a cover A, and I grabbed it. I got home and I noticed it's got this huge crease kind of halfway across the front of the book, and another one up above that. So a lot of the cover A's got damaged. So I don't know if that's kind of specking it up a little bit too, because there's limited supply with a high grade. I don't know. And it's an okay story. It kind of reminds me of like a Jim Henson kind of story. Same thing, where there's this people, these little night people, almost look like a bumblebee kind of to me. their hearts are replaced with clocks. That the slavers, the ones who control them, took all their hearts out. So they're no longer allowed to have a name, no longer allowed to show any kind of emotion or love or feeling towards anybody else. And this main character, Canto, he falls in love with this other girl. Her clock gets damaged by the slavers to a point where the main healer or whatever of the group can't fix him. Although the healer's not that great because the same thing happened earlier in the show. Oh, I don't know anything I can do. Well, dude, you just let 2 people die. Apparently, you're not a very good healer. Get somebody else in there. And so Canto says, "Hey, take my clock." Because what they do is when those people die, they throw them in the furnace. And he says, "Take my clock out, give it to her. I'll take the fate of the furnace." And they say, "No, you can't do that." The slavers have made it to a way we can't do that. There is the old school way where I made a note here. Maybe I didn't write it down. Outside of their realm, they know the history, know what the slavers have done with the hearts. And so he's on a mission to go find those hearts outside of his world, outside of his comfort zone, to try to save the one he loves. There's these monsters like Malorexes, are like a wolf/troll kind of thing that live out there. There's one that he meets that's an old one missing an eye, and he's happy. I'm sure he's going to play a part maybe later on in the story, protecting him and somehow. So the number 1 is going for $20-$25. I guess a high grade one. If you get the 1 in 10, that's going anywhere from $50 to $75 on eBay.
Wow.
So, and that's probably just a spike just because it's a brand new book. I'm sure it'll probably settle back down to $15-$20 once the initial thing's gone. I was able to get 1 in 10. And I picked that up. So, but I'm not one to sell my book just because of like this high spike. I get excited, yes, when my books gain money. Like, oh, cool, that's worth that much money. But I'm not one for selling very often. So I'm just happy that I'm able to get it. So, but it's a stash. I'd probably pick up issue 2 to kind of see where it's going from there. So, okay, that's Canto.
Let's talk about. Let's go ahead since we kind of mentioned it. Let's talk about War of the Realms, number 6. That's it. You want to know how you wrap up a great event? I still say this is the way to do it. Slightly sloppy, but great way to end it. And we're going to have tons of spin-off stories from this. We know we're going to be getting another Valkyrie. We know we're going to get some more things with the Hulk, or She-Hulk. A lot of great stuff. Love this, the way they just buttoned it up. So you're going to get a bunch of number 1s coming out of this. Really great story. I like this whole battle of good and evil that was kind of going on in here. And I made a biblical reference in my own video about this. It's kind of biblical to some degree. You got Thor, the son Thor, right, being hung from a tree. He had to kind of crucify himself a little bit, right? And then they come back as 4 of themselves, which is reminiscent of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You got that going on. And then the ultimate smiting of good versus evil coming in a big theme. A lot of religious themes towards the end of this, but I like the way that they didn't make it too, obvious, on point, in the nose, right? So yeah, I just love this. I love having all the Thors there. I love the fact that they made fun of themselves, that there's a lot of Thors there. They're like, what? Nobody could get the frog Thor, right? They made that joke. That was great. It's great self-reflection of its own medium. And then I don't know. I just really liked the way this ended. It gave me goosebumps. I don't know what it is about Thor and his damn hammer. But whenever they do the slow motion thing where somebody grabs it or Captain America's wielding it, it just gives me goosebumps. And that's what this did. It was a great story. Walked away very happy with this event. And I'm sure we'll be rolling right into another one here soon enough.
You can't really hardly talk about War of the Realms without. I don't know if you read Thor, the main title, at all.
No, I did not.
This really just ties right into this War of the Realms issue here. This is the 4 of them fighting in there, and a lot of unworthy Thor kind of stuff. The younger Thor who can't wield Mjolnir yet. That's kind of a lot of the story with him in going into this battle, and that has like they say it's like the first venomized sword thing. I forgot the name of it. That's in there. The only thing that I thought about this, because so when Thor went to the sun to figure out how am I supposed to defeat this, and only Thor could come down to save his parents. That was it. And so his way to solve that was, okay, only Thor. Well, I could take Thor from different timelines, past Thor, future Thor, and then Jane Foster Thor. But if Thor figured it out, well, my question was like, why was he shocked that Jane Foster was there? If he knew the plan exactly, so he should have known Jane Foster was going to be there, not like, Jane, what are you doing here? I thought that was a little weird. But other than that, it was great. It was really good stuff. I liked how they wrapped it up. I liked how they were able to come up with the solution to where it wasn't like this big thing. It was like, okay, again, just Thor can save his parents. Okay, fine. We're going to get multiple Thors to save your parent. We're not breaking what you said. You said only Thor, so we're only bringing Thor. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the King Thor miniseries that Jason Aaron's writing that's coming out of this book as well. So
I might be picking that up. Yeah, usually Thor by himself kind of bores me sometimes, but I might pick that up and give Thor a shot. Why not?
Yeah, this has been good. It's been consistent. It's been pretty good because of multiple storylines kind of going on, about giving equal time to each one of those story art lines. So it's been good. Okay. Let's talk about. Let's talk about this one. Maybe we should talk about one you didn't. I'll talk about one you didn't read, and that is Thor. Oh my goodness! I'm still on a Thor kick. Wolverine exit wounds. I picked up the Keith. Oh God, why am I drawing a blank on the artist's name now? I'll pop it open and check. If you think Liefeld's bad, this guy.
Yeah, I think he does his on purpose, where Liefeld just kind of is in a rush. I think he turns in drafts, where this guy, it's a little bit more. I know the cover you're talking about in the artwork. I still didn't pick up the book though.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it, but it's more that 70s art that they would clumber together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Sam Keith, that's that artist, and then Liefeld did a Wolverine cover, and then he had another one. So I picked up the Sam Keith. I love Sam Keith's Max from the 90s. Yeah. His art style fit that because we don't know what Max really is. It's not a human, and it can kind of be that extreme art in there. But man, his art in here is just freaking nuts. Wolverine's hairline changes constantly. There's Wolverine at the end. Check him out, dude. All shoulders and arms. But so this book actually is 3 separate stories. One by Larry Hama, one by Chris Claremont, and one by Sam Keith. Probably the best story is the Larry Hama story, because that's to do with the Weapon X program, where the Wolverine's in the tank and they're trying to kind of reprogram him. They're putting stuff on so, hey, he needs to see this in order to fight. So they're trying to put images into his head on what he's seeing, but his own memories are kind of writing that over, and he's seeing stuff that he wants to see, and they're trying to figure that out. And at the end, they kind of have him out in the middle of the woods where he's fighting this big bear, with that visor, that Weapon X visor he has on, and he's not seeing the bear, he's seeing Sabretooth. And so he's fighting Sabretooth, and then at the end they say, hey, we need to be able to contain him, and the guards are like, oh, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to. But they end up getting control of him, as if we knew that, we would have the key controlling our perfect killing machine. And then trying to figure out what triggered all those memories. That was probably the best story of the 3. The other story by Chris Claremont is Wolverine going to Japan to be with the Japanese family, because there's that one storyline where he spent a lot of time in Japan.
I never liked that Japanese storyline. It's all too the Canadians really a samurai bullshit. Yeah. I don't like it.
So, in this episode or this story, apparently Logan is Gordon Ramsay, because he's showing people how to cook. He's making his own ramen noodles. He's using his claws. Not a very sanitary kitchen utensil, I don't think, but he's using his claws to make ramen noodles. And he's showing people how to do it, and they're talking about it. And these people break in and say, hey, I think they're trying to get money. And Logan, nope, you're in the wrong place. And then he goes all Gordon Ramsay on him, starts kicking the crap out of him, yelling at him, calling him names. And then we find out that Logan, there's this history of family pictures going back to great grandmother, and Logan's in that picture there. So Logan has this history with this family through multiple generations. And as they're standing outside, as he's threatening the kids to say, hey, you better back off and leave me alone, there's a sign up above his head that says Logan Noodle House. So it's just so crazy. And then the last story is the Sam Keith story where Wolverine fighting Venom. But like I said, this art is just crazy. And maybe it's supposed to be that extreme, but look at Logan's receding hairline there, and then he's got normal hair the other times. So it's just that one's just a quick and dumb, story about Logan beating Venom.
So yeah, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, for $5, it's definitely not a $5 book. You get this in $1, but if you really like Wolverine, I guess it might be something for you. You want to know about Wolverine the Weapon X and Wolverine the Cook and Wolverine.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
He seriously was showing how to cut ramen noodles with his claws.
That's crazy.
So that was Wolverine Exit Wounds. Yeah, hold off on that. Find that $1, Ben. Find it 50-cent, Ben. Then pick it up.
Okay, let's talk about Detective Comics number 1006. First off, thank you, Tomasi, for writing a decent story. Thank you for not making it some let's bring awareness to mental disorders because people doesn't know it exists. Thank you for writing a good story with classic characters. We get Spectre in this one. Now, I've always been a Spectre fan. I love his dialogue. It's always religious theme, but in that really, really scary, creepy way. Like I'm the ghost of God, and I'm pretty much going to kill you. It's awesome, right? So a murder happens in this one, just to catch you all up. Murder happens in this one, and there's these things that are kind of like a Spectre. It's like a cult of Spectre, if you will, and they're dropping bodies, and Spectre's not happy about this. And, of course, he enlists Batman to assist him in this. So I really like this kind of religious theme that Spectre often carries with him, and then, like, just the hard science of Batman, logical, predictable, forward thinking. And I kind of like the clash of these two things because Spectre is kind of, to some degree, omniscient, right? He can grow, turn invisible, do spooky ooky magic things, and Batman has to rely on technology and his wit. So I think that's going to be a really cool team up. I'm excited about this story. Is it going to be the greatest detective comic story ever? Probably not. But it kind of reminiscent to that whole Brave and the Bold older issues where they would just stick Batman in some random superhero to figure something out. And those were always good reads. So I'm really excited about this. Plus this cover, like seriously, out of all these Batman covers that have been coming out, this is probably the sexiest one there. That is just super smooth. So yeah, definitely a stash. I like this. Get on board with this. If you get this issue and the next couple of ones, you'll at least end up with one good detective comic story.
Yeah, this was pretty good. This was the first Detective Comics I think I've read in a few issues, which is kind of nice because it is a good jumping on point to Detective Comics because it's kind of a starting of the new arc. Some of the art in here kind of remind me. I was just looking up the artist's name. I couldn't remember it. It was Kelly Jones who did some Batman in the 90s, the really long-eared Batman. Some of the art kind of remind me of that, of the Batman, because he had this massive freaking cape. He's jumping across the building. It's just massive. It's of course, everybody knows it's not functional, but it's still cool looking, having that dramatic kind of there. Other than that, I mean, the art was great, I thought. The story was good. I don't know a whole lot about the character Spectre, so... And I was kind of confused a little bit when there were multiple ones of them, but he's not part of it? Is that what I understand?
That's not him. Those are That is something else. We don't know what that is, but there's something else.
Because the host must die, long live the host. That's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
You'll see why. It's playing off of a theme that has been introduced in Spectre comics before. Spectre had some arching nemesis type of thing going on, and the host was one of them. I don't mind spoiling a comic book in my hand, but I don't want to spoil with speculation of what may happen. But it's really a cool storyline. Definitely a cool villain.
I do like how Spectre was drawn in here. I mean, the really dark shades of green and all that stuff. I think it really drew out kind of what I see that character. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about him, but it kind of brings out like that intriguing part of that character. So
Spectre has a very interesting origin story too. You can actually look it up on the fandom site, the Wicca fandom site of Spectre, just to kind of get a premise of why he is the way that he is. I highly recommend if you don't know anything about Spectre, even though he's like one of the oldest DC characters ever. I would definitely look him up. He's definitely interesting.
For some reason, I kind of relate him with Boston Brand, that the guy I was talking about earlier. Deadman, yeah.
There's some similarities there.
And not just because they're both DC.
You're right. They actually work together. Spectre's also done a lot of that kind of dark DC stuff where it's like the ghost and the monsters working together. Spectre's been involved in a lot of that kind of stuff too with that whole group whenever they switched that up.
And wasn't like in the early, like the Golden stuff, wasn't he like a detective as well, but dead? Is that what it was?
Yeah, he did like mystery type themed stories that had some sort of vengeance. Like that's his big thing, vengeance. He's kind of like a cross between Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider on the heavenly side, if that makes any sense.
Okay, we'll jump on to my next book. It's a book that I read, and that is Samurai Grandpa. Oh my God, I'm almost going to drop the book by Source Point Press. This is 1 and 4, so it's only a 4-issue miniseries. Nothing super original here. His grand kid gets kidnapped. You know, he's a retired samurai. He puts his sword down saying, "Oh, we've had good history, but I must set you down now." You know, and then his son gets murdered and his grandkid gets kidnapped, and he must go back to his sword and pick up and go to the samurai way again. He ends up running into... Oh man, I forgot about this part. As he's walking through the woods, and he gets hit in the side of the head with a pile of poop, and he's like, and he pulls it off his head and he sniffs it, you know, and he's like, "Oh, who would?" And it is the monkey ninja. So the monkey ninja is one of his defense tactics, is throwing poop, which I thought was kind of funny. So he ended up dispatching the monkey ninjas, and he thinks they're responsible for the kidnapping and of his grandkid and the death of his son. But it turned out that no, it's not some higher force. He ends up seeing a vision of, I got the way to understand, maybe it's his former love. She's basically saying, "You're old now. You cannot do this anymore. You don't have you may have the willpower, but your body does not have the capability of doing it." But he says, "You know, I realize that, but I'm gonna have to move forward. It's just what I have to do." And so she leaves, and says, "Perhaps you change less than you think, samurai." So it's not a bad book. I went in and ordered 2 through 4 just to finish the arc. It's only 4 issues, like I said. Nothing groundbreaking here. The whole story of putting your guns up, you're not going to be a violent person anymore, and then something happens and you must pick up your guns again. Same story you've heard numerous times, but with the I'm sure maybe even a lot of other Asian inspired stories are the same way. You know, same samurai putting their sword down. So, but not bad for a book, and I'll pick up all of them. So.
Sounds good. I guess I should talk about a book now.
Yeah, you should talk about a book.
That's what we do here. Let's go ahead and talk about this amazing Spider-Man number 24. Oh my God. If it wasn't for the one good thing that happened in this book, I would be burning it because it was just annoying. First off, I don't care about Spider-Man's constantly dreaming that something's happening to MJ. It's almost getting to the point where it's like he may have a mental disorder, like that is constantly on his mind, and it really drags the story. But luckily, the saving grace of this particular story was Mysterio sitting down with a therapist who apparently died a few issues back in another off branch of Amazing Spider-Man story, because there's so many of them right now. And apparently he went to hell. And that's where our new villain, who's been unnamed forever, kind of tortured him for a while and then brought him back. Why, we don't know. We'll get more information on that later. But what we do know is we finally got a name to call him. Now, I will not say that the name is his name, because he says in the dialogue, "You can call me," which it's like having a nickname, right? Doesn't mean it's your actual name. So we still don't know who the villain is, but it's Kindred now. Now, if I spoiled that for you, welcome to a review show about comic books. Like that's what we do here. So, of course, me being the busybody I am, I'm scouring the internet to figure out if Kindred has ever been a villain in anything else. I haven't found anything. I'm still looking. It's a lot of nuances to it, but we know it's not his real name because he even says you can just call me this. We do know one thing, though. This dude is creepy. Like, this is a creepy villain, and I'm loving it. He's legitimately scary, from the way he looks like a cracked out Mumra to to the way he just shows up and scares, does the boo stuff, right? It is, I'm liking this character. I don't, Peter Parker's, oh my God, something's going to happen to Mary Jane. Constant whining in this story is just annoying at this point. Just stop already and get him being his witty banter and kicking the hell out of bad guys. Please, 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 please. Other than that, it's a stash because I'm really liking the villain.
What's your take on J.J. Abrams' son writing Amazing Spider-Man book?
Here's the problem. So I listen to a lot of the podcast when it comes to comic book stuff, and a lot of people are upset about it. My first suggestion is get over it, right? Because their major complaint is I've worked blank years to get one comic book to blank, right? All right, fine. So what? I mean, over at DC, Marvel, and a lot of these indie places, they got people that have no experience in writing comic books that are basically just trying to get into the industry so they can write scripts for movies, really. So I don't really care. I mean, if J.J. Abrams really wanted to, he could go do a GoFundMe account that would rake in millions of dollars because it's J.J. Abrams, have his son write the comic book and just mainstream it himself. And everybody else would miss out on that money because it would be popular. Mm. So I don't know. Now, do I think the kid can write a comic book? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that believes that because daddy has a talent, son automatically has a talent. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that. But if dad teaches son certain talents, then so be it. Like, nobody can say J.J. Abrams does not know how to tell a story. He's direct. He takes words, he puts visuals to it, and he creates a decent story to some degree. If he teaches his son to do that, then why not be able to write a comic book? But let the kid write a comic book. The worst thing that can happen is it be bad, and we blast it on Blaster Stash.
Yeah. Which I'm sure J.J. Abrams is watching this tonight.
Yeah, right. He's probably at home right now in the chat room saying, "How dare you!"
Yeah. I do agree with you talking about how, not necessarily the skills or whatever can be passed on biologically. I mean, you could have a super smart parent and you can have your son in the corner eating a bar of soap. It doesn't work that way, But yeah, if it's a skill he's learned, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with young writers either. Look at the writer of oh my God, Christopher Paoloni or he wrote all the Dragon books. The
that guy.
That guy. That guy.
Maybe the chat knows.
Leave in the chat. Tell me what an idiot I am because I can't remember. I mean, he was 14 or whatever he wrote those started writing those series of books. I mean, you can be a writer at a young age and still have a good skill. So
and I'm pretty sure Dad will kind of read the drafts, and then an editor's going to supervise it, right? Because the Spider-Man book is one of the mainstays for Marvel. I'm sure this thing will be heavily criticized. Now, do I think the kid's going to write a story that I can relate to? I probably not. That doesn't mean I'm going to hate it or anything. I'll review it when it comes out. I'll be sure to get it unless they put like a $50 price tag on it because the name Abrams is on it.
Okay. No, I'll
What's
talk about that.
about a crappy comic book you want to blast? Because you've been pretty on key today with all your comic books. You haven't blasted.
You think I need to find something about blast?
Yeah, blast us something there, buddy.
Well,
you get angry.
Well, okay, we're talking about don't like me and I'm angry. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Avengers number 20. Let's talk about the She-Hulk who's upset that she's not this beautiful John Byrne She-Hulk that was out in the 80s. She's upset about that. So you have all these other beautiful She-Hulks kind of around her. She's looking at a picture, look like a John Byrne cover from She-Hulk. You got the attorney She-Hulk there in a short skirt, very curvy, very feminine. And then you got this She-Hulk that looks like Blanca. So I didn't, just based on your video that I watched earlier, I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna like this. I don't know if I'm actually gonna read this. So I skimmed through and I read some of the stuff. It is very much a body image book, but good God, I mean, she seriously looks like Blanca, almost every single panel. Which, I mean, I can say I don't mind a strong character at all, but good God, she's just too dang bulky. And it is like definitely not the She-Hulk from the 80s for sure. But if you look at the She-Hulk on, they show her on the cover of issue 21 toward the back of the book. She's looked muscular, but she's not this big old muscle bound thing that's in this book. I don't know why they're exploring that a little more and trying to get more in depth with why She-Hulk feels bad about her body image. Maybe they're trying to get that audience. I don't know. But that's a blast.
Yeah, there's definitely some body image issues in here. Why do I have to be the pretty one is one of the famous lines in here. And the entire jury of her self-conscious is looking at her like she's crazy. And again, she doesn't, in her banter about arguing with Hulk, why do I have to be the pretty Hulk? Why can't I be the ugly Hulk like you? Blah, blah, blah. I love the scene with the troll where She-Hulk beats the hell out of him. And he's like, will you marry me? That was funny. And we had our little girl power moment in here with Captain Marvel doing their pose. Dun, 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 women. That's great. That's cool. My biggest problem with this is that the entire book's a complete and utter lie.
Wow.
She doesn't really think these things. And we know this because if we follow continuity, who is She-Hulk currently dating and constantly looking for respect from? Thor and Thor's family. If somebody still sees him as pretty, regardless of your constant whining and complaining about being the pretty one, somebody even finds what she calls the ugly one, still finds them pretty. So what's the issue? Like, what's the problem? You still found a significant mate. That's the only way I can put it at this point, because I'm confused about your intentions. So, yeah, this is somebody that needs to, like, instead of getting into this mind machine and dealing with a bunch of her cells, which is very self-centric, that does not help people. But sitting there in your own mind, arguing with yourself is not always the base case scenario. You found love. You respect the family. Therefore, your image isn't that bad. And you're kind of proud of it when you're She-Hulk. So what's the problem exactly? What you want to be the big mean one? Fine, be the big mean one. But stop talking to yourself about it because you're not as miserable as you're trying to play off. So, yeah, I completely find this is a blast. I love the cover, though. I love those cheesy type covers. But this entire story was nothing more than, hey, you don't always have to be the pretty one. Well, we already knew that. When Thor, I have the cover where She-Hulk and Thor are kissing and they're like into each other. I have those issues. Mm-hmm. I have the War of the Realm issues where you're nervous about meeting mom. And then all of a sudden we get this, oh, I really have, problems because, I'm pretty. Shut up. Stop. Just stop. That's horrible storytelling. Stay in continuity. It's better that way. If they took it to you shouldn't just criticize, you should correct. If they took it to the effect of, hey, I'm this way and I am proud of myself and I'm more effective this way, that would have been a better story.
Yep.
That would have been awesome.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe they're trying to get to a point where a lot of women kind of feel that way. I'm just not good enough, or some guys even feel that way to some degree. I'm sure, but like you said, they found love. They're in a relationship, so there's not like be happy with what you got versus constantly worrying about what you don't have or whatever.
I don't know. Like I said, the story would have been better if there was an actual conclusion to it. And there wasn't. So we'll forget this story. This story will be buried in the back bins of every writer out there. This was a test of an idea.
Okay. Let's talk about Conan number 7.
You have to.
Again, we're constantly being teased with this dark witch and the twins, but it's not until like the last page how much I'm loving the pre-story or the backstory was great. I love the backstory. I really want to know more about the older Conan and what's going on there. Quit giving us little tidbits and just jump right to that, and this whole issue, Conan purchases the 5 women to get revenge essentially on the pirate that killed Balit. And of course they're 5 totally different women. Looks like we got a redhead, we got a blonde, we got an Asian, we got an African American, looks like we got a Middle Eastern. All 5 different women end up taking them on this journey, and they're like brown chicken, brown cow in it, and Tantner wanting Conan to join, and he's like, no, it's very stoic, and no, I'm not, But see, where's the see what it was? Yeah, it says the harder Conan pressed his skull to the cold, hard ground, trying to block out the squeals and the moans wafting from his tent, the more his head swam. It's just like they're going. They don't need Conan. They're going to go at it in the tent anyhow. But they think Conan's going to be, using them for his own pleasure, using for something else. They couldn't quite figure it out, but they realize that he's not this mean guy. He's actually using them to his advantage to gain access to the ship because this guy likes his women, and so they end up getting access to the ship. But they know who he is. They drug him, and the women actually help him take the ship over. I guess he does end up laying with them at the end of the book.
I thought he slept with him a couple of times, or at least that was the intent, or I guess what they tried to say.
But his love and his true affection is not with any of these women or any with these. Sure, he's a man. He has carnal urges to fulfill, but they're just hollow and just, like I said, carnal. They're no emotion attached to him at all. He only has love for Balit, and he's essentially, saying you'll never get her back, but you're gonna constantly have this love, and he ends up leaving the women to take whatever from the ship they want. But yeah, but then it goes back to at the very end, Conan, the old man Conan, getting stabbed by the twins, and that's the end of that newer story arc. So I kind of wanted to get to the newer stuff and see what's going on. But I mean, the backstories again have been good. I've been enjoying them. Jason Aaron definitely better than the other Savage Sword of Conan for sure.
Yeah, Jason Aaron knows how to write. I love his use of verbiage in this. It fits. My problem is I don't care about anything in his past unless it all of a sudden becomes relevant in one of the issues and we're getting fed tidbits that we don't realize. Mm-hmm. I did like the fact that Conan went and got the revenge for the person that killed Bellet. That was the whole captain's point. He had killed Bellet or been responsible for her death, and he's going to go drop that body. Very unique individual plan, even though it didn't really work. But the result was the same at the end. then the children of the corn are stabbing him in the chest at the end of the book, and I'm like, what the hell? Right? That's what I keep calling them, because we haven't even gotten their names yet. Like, we don't know we don't know anything about them. So why is what we were believed to be fed as the main story, why should I even pay attention to that at this point? You're just giving me one shots, really.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of annoying to some degree. Like, I had forgotten about the Children of the Corn when I started reading it until the last page, and I was like, oh, that's right, they're supposed to be telling this other story. But, oh, thank you for the one panel. Hey, good job.
Maybe they're trying to make it seem like why Conan's blood or Conan's life is so worthy, because he's this stand-up guy, and it makes it more reasons why you should feel bad why he's getting killed or whatever.
Yeah, if I remember, it was because he was this, from the first issue, the reason why they were trying to sacrifice him is because he was this great warrior, and it's a great sacrifice to this evil demon that they're trying to raise. But anybody that's ever heard of the name Conan, you could just imagine why, right? He's Conan the barbarian, not Conan the sultry guy that buys women.
Yeah.
He's not that guy. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to say I'm not going to pick up anymore. I want to say that, but I know that's a lie, so I don't want to lie in public.
Yeah, I'll definitely be continuing to pick up both Conan titles. But yeah, okay, let's jump into. I did that one. Let's talk about Justice League Dark.
Ooh, that's.
This is one of the books that seem like I have to really read twice in order to kind of grasp what's going on, and it's sit there and actually really pay attention to dialogue, because I read through it once and I go, what the hell was that about? What happened? And I have to go back and read it again to kind of get that, and I had to take notes on it this time. So at the end of the last issue, we have Wonder Woman, Zatanna. They're the Lords of Chaos or Order. I don't remember. It's a Chaos.
Yeah. They're Chaos.
So they come to the Nebu. He's not the same character as one before. God, what's his character's name?
The actual host?
Yeah.
Who cares? Nabu's in charge. Nabu's running the show right now.
Okay. I had it in my head. I didn't write it. I'm not going to write it down. I don't need to write it down. So they come to essentially attack them, and Wonder Woman and Zatanna are outnumbered. They end up giving powers to Bobo the Chimp, Swamp Thing, and Man-Bat. And but Man-Bat says, like, I see everything. I see. What do I need to do? And Zatanna's need to break it all. And that's when she starts like coming out of like the fourth wall, essentially breaking the panels up, which I thought, okay, that's. And after that, all the panels are like shattered grids. They're breaking everything. This is one thing. One time I've really noticed, like, how those panels kind of play into the story. I never really noticed that before, so that was kind of cool. Zatanna's spells usually are normal, all backwards when she recites them. This time they're all jumbled up, so you have to stop and try to figure out the words, figure out what she's trying to say. She uses that magic to lock Nebu into his helmet, essentially. As they moving on now, Zatanna, after they defeated everybody, Zatanna must fix what's broken, and she doesn't have the capability to do so. So it relies on Wonder Woman to kind of fix that, and Wonder Woman's giving a speech about how and she's going to be there to protect the people from magic. So it was a good end to the arc, I think. I think we have something coming up in the next issue. I think they have was it this one or maybe it was a different one? New Fate revealed, which Dr. Fate was that guy's name, by the way. The guy with Nabu's host. But this has been good. Although I wish Bobo would have thrown poop. That's to go back. He's more like a barbaric kind of chimpanzee. It wasn't like his normal self. He was kind of pretty brutal.
Yeah, everybody was chaotic.
Yep.
Yeah. This was a good story. Grand, another event that just buttoned up nicely. I read right through it. I love the commentary of, the panels actually structure the world that they're in. So when it's
Mhm.
chaotic, it only makes sense that it gets broken apart. And that was the whole theme, right? That magic breaking apart and tearing apart reality because of the controlling of it. That was great. I love these new villains on the back page there. The outsiders, or no, not outsiders, the upside downs,
Oh
whatever
yeah.
they're themselves. That force, they're going to be more prevalent in future stories. Um, I like the idea of a new fate coming on. I love the narration, and usually I'm not a big fan of long narration in a book that's not directly tied to it. But the whole Batman and Wonder Woman dialogue throughout it, going back and forth about why does she need to take responsibility for it, and we know that Batman doesn't really like the world of magic; it's not his thing. He has issues with it. He can be kind of one-sided towards it, and then it kind of makes sense now that Wonder Woman would be in Justice League Dark, being born of magic, and all this other. She kind of walked both lines, both superhero and the magic. And that, at first, I wasn't really sure how I felt about Wonder Woman being in Dark, right? But as the explanation came out, it started making sense, and she just kind of fits in there. So I liked it. I think that's a good one. Justice League Dark has just been a great read. A lot of little nuancy things going in there, along with the main story. I've been liking it. So yeah, I can't wait for the next arc and see what's going on there.
Yeah, I
That's a
like the
step.
Flash too earlier in the issue when like, oh, so we're just making our own Justice Leagues up now. Can I have a
Yeah,
Justice League based on speedsters? No. You
yeah,
know.
that was funny. Um, yeah, and I love the fact that somebody asked Batman, he's like, "Did you know that we had a basement full of dark?" And he's like, "Of course, of course you did."
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, and, Batman kind of takes on that almost fatherly role too. When it flashes back and forth about, hey, you go too deep into this, you're going to be lost. He's trying to explain that stuff to her.
Yeah,
Batman always has doubt. Anything Batman can't control or can't understand, he tends to be a little more of an asshole. It seems like,
yeah.
hey, yeah, I don't know about that. Okay. I think we only have one other book that we both read. Oh, you start on it. That is Thanos #3.
Oh yeah, Thanos #3. Where's that at? There it is. Yeah, I read this. This is weird. This was a weird issue. Um, but I liked it, I guess. A lot of funniness in this that really isn't supposed to be funny. Gamora gets a leg ripped off, so they replace it with a mechanical one. He's like, and he does this kind of weird fatherly conversation with her, like, "You get that one ripped off, I'm not replacing it." So to avoid having the prosthetic, we'll just call it prosthetic, ripped off, she blocks it with her arm, and of course has her arm torn off, and that's comical to everybody. So she gets a prosthetic arm now, and we end with him laughing. I don't understand, and I know they've tried to explain it in the book, but I'm just not buying it. The problem that they have with Thanos being infatuated, or not infatuated, that's probably a really bad term, um, being connected to Gamora, right? We know it's death, but we also know that he's interacting with her independently as well, kind of being like a weird father figure. And the crew has a problem with this, but it's keeping him from killing everybody on the ship. You would think they would be kind of okay, like, okay, yeah, definitely your new little pet there, play with it. But no, instead, they're like, let's show him who's really in charge. Let's kidnap the kid. It's freaking Thanos. You know this guy. You've seen him on the ship. You've seen how vicious he is. It made no sense of why to try to take the girl. It's not going to be a leverage issue. He's just going to kill you, regardless of what you do to the kid. So I don't really know where they're trying to. I know they're trying to find some footing about how this relationship would work with Gamora and Thanos, and they're trying to explain it. I just don't think they're doing a very good job on this one. So unfortunately, I got to blast this issue unless the next issue makes it make more sense. But I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. So they end up going back to that planet to kill the larvae of the future. The next And they're like, there's no honor, not an honor, but there's no like fun in that. That's what his crew's saying. Why do you want to do that? And he's like, no, just go do it. But yeah, they have this. They're all butthurt because Thanos is kind of showing affection to this girl or kindness to this girl, and they don't want that, I guess. But like you said, maybe they want Thanos to kill a person if they go to take a leak after the poker game. I don't know. So like you'd be happy, like you said, about that. You don't like, oh man, Johnny made it back out okay, good. Thanos is in a better mood. He's not drinking again,
I don't get it. Yeah. And these pirate things with the ship, they keep trying to make them like they're relevant to some degree. I don't know who these people are, and I don't really care what their opinions are. Like, stop talking. Do action stuff.
I don't remember Gamora having a or a leg and an arm though, like that.
We do know that she's had some body replacements, right? Because that's what her and her sister had to do. So we know that she's been enhanced in some degree, even in the cinematic universe. What they are, they never really bother explaining it because that's easy to hide with fake skin or anything like that. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, but Thanos goes apeshit and beats the crap out of Red's brother there toward the end of the book. Yeah, I'll still pick up the rest of the issues because I think it's only 6 issues, so I'll pick up the whole run for sure. But it was okay. I don't know if I'd blast it, but yeah, just trying to figure out that relationship between Gamora and Thanos and why that's so important to him. Again, maybe just because she can see death too, and that's why he needs to have that connection. Because he's always seeking for death's affection. But that's all the books I have this week, and we are just over an hour in.
Lightning
round.
Okay, let's start off with Peter Porker and Spectacular Spider-Ham. First story was you know what? I gotta blast this. This thing was just garbage. It was complete. I was going to try to be nice about it because I'm kind of nostalgic about this. Peter Porker was one of the first comic books I read as a kid. It was one of the first ones that I stole from a 7-Eleven. Right. So I was really about to crack this open, and it is the most boring, the sleepiest, literally sleepy story in here. And then the last story with Donald or Howard the Duck in it made no sense whatsoever. It was nothing more than reflection upon its own medium, which basically means they just talked about the fact that Howard the Duck is in a movie. Peter Porker knows that he's in a comic book, and what would that look like if the world changed over and flipped over? It just kind of made fun of itself. Well, it didn't even make fun of itself. It just showed that it recognized itself. It's a spider pig. You don't have to get that deep with it. Relax. Just tell a good story. Make us laugh. Moving on to DC, Dial H for Hero. This is getting weird. We're going to find out what the Hero verse is all about in the next issue because our hero, Manuel, and his friends got dumped into it. Apparently, if you do this too many times where too many people dial H, the superhero value kind of decreases. At one point, he looks like Kathy from the comic strips in a barbarian outfit.
Kathy? Oh, isn't she like the bagel-loving...
Yeah.
Oh my God, I haven't thought of that comic strip forever.
And if you're in the chat right now and you're like, who's Kathy? Oh, it's sad. Okay. Let's see here. Road to 300, Spawn. I'm not a big Spawn guy, but I've been collecting them since, I think, like 200 now. Something like that. Anyways, again, I always make the warning if you're a speculator out there and knowing McFarlane and how he writes stuff, the big issue number 300 will not be the big issue. I would be very surprised if that happens. It's probably going to be like 301 or 299 where the new thing happens, the new whatever, the big reveal, if you will, because McFarlane's a douchebag like that. I'm kidding. He's actually a nice guy. We met him at a Comic-Con. Next, Dark Red number 4. Man, as far as indie books go, this has probably been one of my favorite ones. We have a vampire named Chip because why not? Chip's a good name. Apparently, he owns his own little territory, and Nazi vampires are trying to take it over, and Chip ain't having that. his friend who produces too much blood, which is awesome, by the way. Unfortunately, it's a cancer too, so probably not. It's a good relationship for them. She gets kidnapped. Chip's going to go save her, grabs a couple of his redneck buddies who do not like him to go save her, and like kind of racist too. They go to try to save her. We got the big conclusion that's going to happen in the next issue, or the big combatant. That's going to happen in the next issue. Redneck dies, and you actually see kind of sort of a overly male, like, goodbye. Basically a, hey, I'm out. I'm going to die. F you. Oh, yeah. F you. Okay, die. And it's kind of sad, but it's funny at the same time. Oh, and he also says, take care of my friend who got raped by a priest when he was younger. Somebody else brought this to my attention, and I don't know if it's purposely done or not, but all the Nazi vampires, when they're doing their hooping and hollering at their queen, are wearing a very or half of them are wearing a very distinct hat. I'm going to find it and let you all make your own decision. But somebody's like, is that a shout out to old Trumpy boy there in his Magna hat? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're looking a little too deep into it. It's just a stupid red ball cap. I don't know. I don't know. The whole Nazi thing gets so overplayed nowadays, and it's crazy. And there's my redneck guy who's just a little over the top with his Americanism, which is fine, but he's kind of racist too. I don't know. So all in all, I like the story. I like where it's going. I don't want it to be anything political. I just want a good story about an old vampire. It's not taking a bunch of bullshit from Nazis, and he's going to eat them. That would be awesome. And that's all my books for the week.
I've just got a couple. I have not been reading, but I have been picking up, and partly because of what's potentially could be happening. And that's Spawn. I forgot what you said. It was $2.98. Is that what it was? Yeah.
Well, look at you with the Virgin variant.
I know. And then Cold Blood Samurai number 4. I haven't read that one yet. Then number 5 is the last issue in that miniseries, I think. So those are my last books of the week. I picked up a few other books, but they were back issues. Nothing grand by any means. So I think that's it. So what? Go ahead, Joe. What are you saying?
All right. Good night.
Oh, that's it. Bye. See ya. Crossing my other ones off the list we read. So definitely make sure to go follow us on our Patreon. We talked about that numerous times. Last winner was picked the Venom cover, so we're gonna have for the book for June. We're gonna have either the Vampirella cover that's posted already on our Patreon, or the choice of this Black Cat, the Mayhew variant. So you can go on there and choose which one you want, and we'll get that sent out to you. I'm still waiting on that Venom and that Vampirella to get here before I'm able to send those off. But join our Patreon. That's how you are able to win those. Oh my God. I need to write this shit down. $1 gets you 1 entry, 2 get you 2, 3 get you 3. I had no coverage of the week this month for Mighty Mighty LJ to look at, because there wasn't really a whole lot of great coverage out there this week. So definitely go check out our Patreon, check out our Facebook page, check out our Twitter and our Instagram. Go follow us on all of those great social medias. We were hoping to get Paul on this morning, but didn't happen. So it's going to be maybe a little bit longer before we get all the crew back here, but we'll get them all back here probably about the end of summer, hopefully. Maybe get a few trickled in here or there. So last minute things for you, Joe.
Thanks everybody in the chat. Hopefully we're in the chat with you, cutting up. If you haven't seen, Comic Core is doing a Baltimore giveaway. If anybody in the chat right now is from Comic Core, hashtag #PickPocanJoe is in full effect. Please pick me for your contest. Selfless, shameful plugs. Also, my online auction is up and running right now through People's Auction House. Please check that out. I'm sure all of our lots of comic books are starting off at $1 bid on this auction. So lots of comic books on there. Something for everybody. Definitely check it out. Other than that, thanks for swinging in, everybody. We appreciate you. We love you. we'll see you next week.
You also have an eBay, some up on eBay on your personal
Oh
account.
yeah, my eBay auction ends in probably 11 hours today. You can check that out at what is it? Oh, Joe dash Comics. I know it's weird.
There's a link on the Facebook page. Definitely go check
Yeah,
that out.
I'll put the link in the Facebook page for everybody out there. These are slightly higher valued comic books, higher grade. So yeah, they're not the cheap ones, but hey, some great stuff on there. Definitely check it out.
With
I'm
that,
hustler, baby. I'm a hustler.
whether you blast it, whether you stash it, happy reading, and we'll catch you guys next week.